Greetings everyone, and welcome. Well, today we're going to talk about the Evil Dead Trilogy. Because, you know, there just aren't enough people on YouTube talking about the Evil Dead movies. Yeah, okay, I know, it's pretty much been done to death. But I had a few requests to get a closer look at the editions that I have, and I thought, well, hey, what the hell, let's talk about them a little bit. So this is a DVD review, not a movie review, because we all know that the Evil Dead movies are awesome, and that, you know, if you haven't seen them, you should, because they're great, they're scary, they're funny, they're gory. They got it all, man. And Bruce Campbell, hey, he's the king. So that's what we're going to talk about today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. Okay, real quick here. First off, we've got the Book of the Dead edition of Evil Dead 1. The Book of the Dead edition of Evil Dead 2. I try to use the screaming eyeball sparingly so as not to wear out the battery. And then Bruce Campbell versus Army of Darkness, the Boomstick edition of Army of Darkness. There we go. That's the three you should get. The reason I say that is because there have been so many DVD releases of Evil Dead. Yeah, it's crazy. Well, anyway, I don't know if specifically these would be the ones you want to get, but these ones are definitely worth having. Truth be told, there's probably a few editions you want to get. For example, the first one, there's a great 3-disc edition that came out recently that actually I want to get, even though I have the Book of the Dead edition. Why? Here's what the cover looks like. The reason I want to get this edition is because it has both versions of the movie. Oh! There's alternate versions of the first Evil Dead movie? I didn't hear about that. Well, before you get all excited, all that means is they've got the widescreen theatrical version and the original aspect ratio full frame version. Now in the case of Evil Dead, the first one, it was actually originally filmed in a 1.33 to 1 aspect ratio, 4:3. You know, your standard TV screen size. Full frame, basically, on a piece of film. And then when it was shown in theaters, it was cropped at the top and bottom to fit the widescreen of a theatrical screen. That's not uncommon. A lot of movies are filmed that way, and sometimes they're cropped in the processing process of the film, and you'll actually see little black bars on the frame of film itself. Or, more commonly, I say this as someone who was a projectionist for 2 years, more commonly it's actually cropped physically by the projector. There's actually like a mat, like a gate that the image is projected through that literally blocks off the top and bottom of the frame so that it fits a 1.85 to 1 aspect ratio. Now, so the cool thing about the Evil Dead 3-disc edition is it has both versions, so you can see it how it appeared in theaters and you can see it how it was originally filmed. Now, one of the things that Bruce Campbell is famous for, of course, is his chin. In fact, his autobiography was called If Chins Could Talk. And the sad thing is, the widescreen version of the first Evil Dead crops off his chin in a number of spots. And I'm sorry, but you do not crop the chin. You want all of the chin action fully intact for the complete, unfiltered Evil Dead experience. So yeah, bring back the chin, and bring it back good with the 3-disc edition. So there you go. And in addition to that, the 3rd disc is basically all extras, so a lot of which I don't think has ever been released before. So basically it's as deluxe as it gets. And you can find it pretty cheap now too. I've seen it on sale in a number of places, and once I get a little extra dineros, I'm probably going to pick it up. Actually, I almost picked it up in our last DVD run, but that Planet of the Apes set won. So that was that. So what's in the Book of the Dead editions? Well, there you go. ear in the back. So if we sort of spread it out, you get that. So if you've seen the movie, you of course know the gist, what the deal is here. It's basically the Necronomicon, and it's bound with human skin. So inside, we actually have all of this cool text and, oh, blank page. Oh, there we go. Have all this cool artwork and text and things like that. Now this script, this sort of ancient writings here, this is actually all English, but it's English in such a funky ass font that you have to really stare at it for a while before you can figure out what it says. And there's actually some pretty funny messages in there if you can decode it. So there you go. So this is really nice. I mean, if you're just looking for the definitive edition in terms of contents, go with the 3-disc. But if you want the one with the coolest swag, I'd say, well, honestly, I'd say go for both. Go for both. Now, the one complaint I have about the Book of the Dead edition is how the disc is stored. It's basically just in a little sleeve that's glued to one of the pages of the book. And it's a bit of a pain to get it out there. I mean, it is a plastic sleeve with a nice soft back, so it doesn't scratch the disc really. I mean, your disc is pretty safe in there. It's just a little awkward, you know. But and then, of course, you have the booklet, which has a whole bunch of cool info. There's the front and there's the back, and just quickly flip through there. All kinds of background and production information. And actually, one of the things that goes into detail here is all the various DVD editions that have appeared prior to the Book of the Dead edition. The 3-disc edition came out after the Book of the Dead edition. So, there you go. But anyway, I mean, if you're an Evil Dead fan, this one's definitely cool, and it smells really funky too. I love my stinky Evil Dead book. The smell of these books actually reminds me of the old cheesy carnival haunted houses that I used to go through all the time as a kid. It used to scare the hell out of me. So smell is very much a memory trigger. So whenever I smell these books, and I smell them often, it reminds me of those haunted houses. I like to smell them a lot around Halloween, actually. Yeah, this one smells good too. So this is very similar, also has an ear on the back, and basically the same idea. There was talk for a while of doing an Army of Darkness Book of the Dead as well, but for whatever reason it never materialized, and now it's basically gone. I don't think it's ever going to come out. But again, text that looks like ancient writings, but it's actually English. Some of them are easier to read than others, but if you take the time, you can actually decipher them. So there's really beautiful artwork in here. This is great stuff, and a lot of this artwork, I believe, was actually it's reproductions of some of the actual artwork that appears in the book in the movies. And again, the book is in this awkward slipcover thing that is kind of annoying to get out. And does this come with a... I don't think this one comes with a... No, this one doesn't come with an insert book. It just comes with the disc. And there we go. So there you go. The Evil Dead 2 Book of the Dead edition. My favorite out of the trilogy is actually Evil Dead 2. I know a lot of people say Army of Darkness, but, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love all three of them pretty much equally, but I lean slightly towards the second one just because I feel that it's the one that gets the balance of horror and comedy pretty much perfect. This one, I mean, they all have horror and comedy elements in them, but this one seems to be more horror, leans more towards the horror side. This one leans more towards the comedy side. This one gets it just right. So, but I love all three of them. Don't get me wrong. Don't think that I'm hating on any of them, because I'm not. This is just one of the greatest horror trilogies ever. So the the bootleg edition. The Boomstick edition. The bootleg edition is actually a different one, which just has the director's cut in it. But there's the front, there's the back. We picked this up for a fairly decent price. It tends to go for collector's prices because it's the only edition that I'm aware of that has both cuts. And if we open it up here, we have a nice booklet. The discs themselves are really nothing to write home about, just text on a black background in this tacky white case. But and then this was just an insert from the used. I actually got this used, but it's in pretty decent shape. So this is basically an essay about the making of Evil Dead by Ash himself, Bruce Campbell. Quite good, lots of fun. But yeah, it sounds like he had a lot of fun making them. So that's really cool. Now some people may wonder, why don't I have the Screwhead edition, Blu-ray, that just came out? Well, a couple of reasons. First off, it does not have both cuts. Truth be told, this has substantially more stuff in it than the Screwhead edition, which is very disappointing. So we're basically waiting for a Blu-ray equivalent of the Boomstick edition. So let's take a quick look here at some of the various DVD editions in the past. In terms of the second one, I guess we talked about the deluxe of the third and first. In terms of the second one, I think, to my knowledge, the most deluxe edition that came out was one of the earlier ones, which was this one, which was in a tin, and it was actually quite nice. I saw this one and I was contemplating picking it up at the time, but it was when I was still very hardcore into Laserdisc and saying DVD sucks, go away and die DVD. Yeah, so I didn't get it. There was a lot of horror movies that came out in tin sets like that. Halloween 4 and 5 was another one. Lucio Fulci's The Beyond was another one. And I missed out on those just because of my DVD haterness at the time. So, what can I tell you? You snooze, you lose. So anyway, yeah, and I think that more or less covers all the various editions. There's been a lot of different editions, but out of all of those, I would say probably the tin edition of Evil Dead 2 coupled with this one, the 3-disc edition of Evil Dead 1 coupled with this one, and then there's really only one version of Army of Darkness to get, and that's the Boomstick edition, because it's got both the theatrical and director's cuts, as well as buttloads of extras. Yeah, it's good stuff. So I don't know what more I can say about it. You really don't need me to tell you how good the movies are, again, because everybody knows and everybody's said 1,000 times, but I thought you might like sort of a mini DVD disambiguation if you're wondering which editions to pick up. So far, there doesn't seem to be a Blu-ray edition of any of them that does them any justice, so we're just going to keep waiting on that, and in the meantime continue to enjoy our DVDs. Yeah, I know, you think I'm just blindly about Blu-ray? No, I'm not. I'm not at all. I look into Blu-rays very thoroughly before I plunk my hard-earned money on them, and you know, not to say I don't have any DNR disasters in my collection. I've got a couple. American Psycho and Dark City are both considered some of the worst transfers, simply because they have excessive digital noise reduction. The reason it's bad is because it tends to be used excessively on certain titles to scrub out film grain. Film grain is what gives you the detail in film. Grain is supposed to be present if it's transferred from film. So you use too much DNR, you scrub out the grain, you scrub out the detail, and the detail is why you want it on Blu-ray in the first place. So when I say something is a DNR disaster, that's what I'm talking about. Something where they've used far too much of it to scrub out the grain, and as a result have scrubbed out all the fine detail. And well, those titles don't get my money. Little mini rant there for you. My next HD rants, whenever I get around to doing it, I've been far too busy lately, but whenever I do get around to doing it, I'll do a proper in-depth spiel about DNR and the evils of it, and the misuse of it, and some clarification, because I think there's a lot of confusion about stuff like that. But that's I'm way off topic now. Okay, well, I'm just going to stop. Evil Dead, awesome. Some great DVD editions. Get them, enjoy them, love them, cherish them, and make sure to smell them a lot too. Oh yeah. Oh, I love that smell. Love it. All right. Alrighty. Talk to you later, folks. Until then, thanks for watching, and sayonara. Halloween. It's almost here. Oh boy, I'm so excited.